I first came across Marshall Goldsmith's works in 2007 when he published the book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. It's now 17 years old, but still as good as any in the world of leadership and management. So if you haven't read it, please do read it. So I read that book in 2007, and it talked about how successful leaders, what prevents successful leaders from getting to the next level. So what got you here is not going to get you there. And I looked at the 20 bad habits of highly successful people which prevents them from getting to the next level of success. And I went through that list of 20. I could see myself in each one of those 20 bad habits, okay? And I said, now, this was quite insightful for me, and I decided to change and adopt some of these principles that Marshall had in that book. And then I bought 50 copies of that book and gave it to our leadership team and a bunch of friends and others. And then I became a disciple of Marshall Goldsmith since then. I've been reading everything that he's written. And by the time it was 2016, I had read his book called Mojo, also another book called Triggers. So in 2016, one day, my wife calls me from somewhere. She says, Shrikant, I think Marshall is in Mumbai. You want to meet him? I said, oh, great, Marshall is in Mumbai, but why do you think he's going to meet me? I would love to meet him, but Marshall is a busy guy, and obviously he's a great human being, and who am I to even get to meet Marshall? So lo and behold, my wife figures out something, and the next morning, I have a breakfast meeting with Marshall. And I'm very nervous. I meet Marshall, and then for the first 15, 20 minutes, I'm just telling him everything about what I've done in my life, etc., etc. And then Marshall says, stop. After 15 minutes. You have seen Marshall's style already in the morning. And then tells me, Shrikant, tells me something. I'm going to tell you what he told me. But it's life-changing for me. And that's when I realized what even a minute or a few minutes with a great leader or a great coach is like, because it can change your life. One thing, if you implement in your life, it can change. What he told me that day was, he said, Shrikant, stop. I think you feel guilty about making money. Stop feeling guilty about making money. This is the phase of your life. It's about making money. It's okay. Just make peace with it and build the company. And I was like, Marshall, how do you know this about me? You've just met me for 15 minutes. But that's the power of Marshall Goldsmith. So please welcome Marshall Goldsmith to this session here. Marshall, you're undoubtedly one of the greatest executive coaches of all time. And you have coached some of the most successful leaders to get to the next level of success, and I'm grateful to be one of your coachees.
And you've met many of those leaders.
Yes, indeed. So my question to you is, when you meet these incredibly successful executives, how do you coach them? How does it, do they have to learn anything from you? How do you coach these people who are already so successful in their lives, like Alan Mulally? He's already the CEO of Boeing, then he went to become the CEO of Ford. How do you coach successful people like those?
Well, I think very important for everyone to realize everyone in this room is successful. And successful people fall into a trap. I did this, I am successful. Therefore, this made me successful. No, you did whatever you did and you are successful. That is true. Everyone is successful because they do many things right, and as you said, in spite of some things that make no sense. Now, you've met many of my clients. Are they perfect?
Not at all.
Not at all. Do they pretend to be perfect?
No.
We're all human.
Some of them do.
Not my clients, though. They know better than that. Well, none of us are perfect, and one of the things I teach people is, look, we can all get better. Now, I was interviewed in the Harvard Business Review and asked a question. You mentioned successful people. What is the #1 problem of all the successful people you've worked with over the years? And I talked to many of these people. I think many of them have this problem. My answer was, winning too much. Are the people in this group losers or winners?
Winners.
Winners. Here's a problem with winners. If it's important, we want to win. If it's meaningful, we want to win. If it's critical, we want to win. If it's trivial, we want to win. And if it's not worth it, we want to win anyway. I'm going to give you a case study of winning too much that almost all my clients fail, and I'm going to predict almost everyone in the room is going to fail the case study. Are we ready? You want to go to dinner at restaurant X. Your husband, wife, friend, or partner wants to go to dinner at restaurant Y. You have a heated argument. You go to restaurant Y. It was not your choice. The service is terrible. The food tastes awful. Option A, critique the food. Point out our partner was wrong. This mistake could have been avoided if only you had listened to me, me, me. Option B, shut up. Eat the stupid food. Try to enjoy it and have a nice night. What would I do? What should I do? Almost all my clients, what would I do? Critique the food. What should I do? Shut up. How many people in the room, please raise their hands, have ever critiqued the food before? Hands up, come on, tell the truth, hands up. Yes, a room filled with food critiquers. Now, was that smart or stupid? Stupid. And as stupid as it was, I'm going to give you one example back to your question. I'm going to give you an example now that is even more stupid, that half of you have done. Now, Shrikant, are the people in this room busy?
Very busy.
Often overcommitted.
Yes.
Under lots of pressure.
Yes.
You have a hard day at work, a hard day. You come home, your husband, wife, friend, or partner is there. The other person says, I had such a hard day today. I had such a hard day. And if we're not careful, we say, you had a hard day. You had a hard day. Do you have any idea what I had to put up with today? We are so competitive, we have to prove we are more miserable than the people we live with. I gave this example to my class at the Dartmouth Tuck School of Business. A young man raised his hand. He said, I did that last week. I asked him, what happened? He said, my wife looked at me. She said, honey, you just think you've had a hard day. It is not over. So people are successful because of many things and in spite of things. And the higher up we go, some things get harder and harder and harder to change.
Yeah. I first read the food critique joke a few years back from you, and then after that I've tried to be the shut up and eat the food category of person. So
Very good.
may not be successfully, but most of the time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Okay. Marshall, when COVID began, you started a series of things called LPR. It was called Life Plan Review, which was loosely modeled on Alan Mulally's principles of business plan review. Right. And you brought together some of the greatest minds, greatest leaders, and created these Zoom calls of 10, 12 people each, which used to happen every week. So tell us a little bit about what was the LPR sessions like, what are the things we discussed there, and what are some of the lessons or learnings from doing this for all of these people?
Well, the whole idea of the life plan review, or the LPR, was inspired, as Shrikant said, by our friend Alan Mulally. Alan, we talked about this morning, one of the great leaders of this century. And he established at Ford something called a business plan review that really helped turn around the company. And that's what inspired me for the life plan review. So Alan goes to Ford. The stock is losing, the company lost $17 billion, not million, $1 billion, and they're going bankrupt. So Alan says, okay, we're gonna start meeting every week. Come to the meeting with your top 5 priorities, and we're gonna rank order them, red, yellow, green. Red is, I'm not on plan, don't know how to get there. Yellow, I'm not on plan, but I have a strategy. And green, I'm on plan. The company is losing $17 billion. The first meeting, 16 people times 5 priorities, 80. 80 objectives. Everyone said everything was green, all green. Alan said, green means on plan. We're losing $17 billion and we're all on plan. He said, I think it's a bad plan. This is a bad, bad plan. Let's do it again. Finally, somebody said, red. He stands up and applauds. Thank you for the courage to say red. He said that turned around the company. That was the beginning of the culture of the turnaround. We're all humans. And when people stood up and admitted that and asked for help, things got better. He practices feed forward like you have many times. Now, our LPR, our life plan review, is modeled on the same idea. Only this is about your life. Everyone comes every week and talks about their life, and they say, here's some things that are going great. Here's some things that I'm proud of. And Here's something I knew better. And we practice feed forward. You ask people, please give me ideas to help me. And then the rules are you listen, and what do you say?
Thank you.
You just say thank you. Now, feed forward, as I said this morning, is based on a Buddhist practice of you don't do what people teach unless it works for you. On the other hand, you don't critique what they say. They're trying to help you. Yeah. Say thank you over and over and over. And now, Srikanth, you've done this many, many times. You could tell me what you think, but I think people learn a lot in different ways. One, you learn by getting the suggestions. Two, listening to everybody else, because sometimes they have other issues that are very similar to yours. And then number three, you learn by giving people suggestions. Now, an important point, and I think you, like everybody, has a little trouble getting around this, is let's say someone needs help in something, and you think, well, I'm not that good myself. Well, none of us are that good. It doesn't mean we can't help each other, though. You don't have to be above people to help them. You can just be a fellow human trying to help each other. What are some of your reflections about the LPR?
My reflection was, first of all, I was the least qualified person in all of those Zoom calls because everyone else was very high profile.
Wait a minute. Let's be clear. Now, when the brains were passed out, this guy was not standing at the very back of the line, so I don't know about that.
So my observation was that all of these amazingly qualified, well-qualified leaders and successful leaders are just like you and me, just ordinary human beings. When they take off their executive hat and get back home, they're just a spouse, a partner, parent, child, whatever. They continue to have the same responsibilities. And they have some of the very similar issues that we are all dealing with. So it was it was somewhat reassuring to see that, all these people who are so high profile are people with exactly like my issues. And when they're processing their issues, I'm learning a lot in the process. And secondly, this is something that was quite helpful to me to understand is that everyone needs help. And that's what I wanted to ask you, Marshall. Everyone needs help. You've said you need help. And people in this room, not everyone is a CEO here. Most of the people here are not CEOs. How can people at this stage of their career get help? How do they get a coach? How do they work with a coach?
Well, again, the first thing I do is I teach stakeholder-centered coaching. Get in the habit of asking everyone to help you. Get in the habit of asking everyone around you, say, look, how can I be a better? We talked about this morning. How can I be a better father? How can I be a better son or daughter? How can I be a better mother? How can I be a better manager? How can I be a better team player? And the whole idea is to learn from everyone around you. One of the great leaders you met is Hubert Joly. And he started with himself, but applied it to everybody. Hubert led a company called Best Buy. And I don't know if you know about Best Buy was going bankrupt. They were finished. So Hubert goes over to Best Buy. He gets up in front of everybody and he says, he wrote a book about this called The Heart of Business, a beautiful book. He said, I have a coach, I get feedback, and I'm trying to do better. And he said, I need you more than you need me. He stands up in front of everybody and says, here's what I feel good about. Here's what I want to get better. Please help me get better. Then he said, back to your point, Srikanth, I want everyone in this company to do the same thing. And he would go around to the stores. He'd say, okay, here's what I'm trying to get better. Help me. What are you trying to get better? So he created an environment, both Alan and Hubert you've met many times, where they really focus on trying to get better. Now, you met Hubert, but he was often with his wife, who's a great coach. Did she sometimes have room for improvement for even Hubert?
Of course. Yes. Our spouses are the best critiques that we have.
They always have a little room for improvement.
Yes, indeed. So, Marshall, how can people in this room, how can we all get better? You talked about, for example, I just want to mention to you, you talked about asking your spouse or your child how to get better. In fact, I took your advice. When my daughter was 7 years old, I asked her, Shriana, how do you think I can get better as a dad? And I thought, she's 7 years old, she probably doesn't even understand the question. But she had some incredibly detailed feedback for me as to how I could be a better dad. And I implemented that advice. So my advice to all of you is, you can ask that question of anyone, including your spouse, including your child. But how do people in this room, how can they access coaching principles? I mean, one is this MarshallGoldsmith.ai, but is there a way in which they can access a good coach?
Well, let me give everybody an idea about getting a coach. It's counterintuitive, too. the first thing you think about when I'm going to hire a coach is I'll tell the coach what I need. Don't do that. Actually, there are too many coaches. You go to the coach first and say, tell me, what do you do best? What do you do best? And then have them talk about what they've done best and what they're most proud of. Then is what they do best what you need.
Yeah.
And then if they say, well, what I do best is these three things, and it's not on your list of what you need, look for another coach. Look for another coach. I don't coach people on everything. I just help people achieve positive long-term change in their behavior. Srikanth has met many people I work with who are coaches on communication, on strategy, on all kinds of things. I'm not an expert on those things. Well, the key is make sure that whoever is your coach actually does that. Now, the second thing I recommend is ask the coach, who'd you work with? Who'd you work with? I mean, you know who I work with. Is it a secret who I work with? And it's not I work with you. It's not a secret, right? And then can they get some references about the great job you did? If they say no, well, it's not such a good sign. If they say yes, that's a good sign.
So one of the things that you've often said is that everyone needs a coach. Like all the major top 10 tennis players, everyone has a coach. So what should the people in this room take away? Does everyone need a coach? And is that something that is universally good?
Well, one thing I think everyone could take away is everyone doesn't have to hire a coach. Everyone needs help. You need help?
Yes.
Do I need help?
Yes.
We all need. You ever make any mistakes?
Every day.
How about me? Occasionally?
I guess so.
We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. It's okay. Just ask people to help you, though. Don't pretend to be above everyone. And by the way, we don't fool anybody anyway. We never fool people. Don't pretend to be above that. And when you're in a management role, don't feel the need to be superior to everyone you manage. You're not superior to those people you manage. You're a human. Now, lead by example. I think it's a theme. Let me tell you a story about Frances Hesselbein. You never got a chance to meet her, did you?
I did.
Oh, you met her?
Yes.
What a wonderful woman. Frances died at age 107. And Peter Drucker said she was the greatest leader he ever met. I called Frances, and I said to her, she asked me to do a talk for the leaders of the top Girl Scouts in the big cities. I said, I'm booked every day, I can only work on Saturday. She said, you work on Saturday, we work on Saturday. I said, well, Frances, I'm very embarrassed to say I'm in a different city every day, and my laundry's all dirty. I gotta get my laundry cleaned sometime. She said, not a problem, we have laundry facilities. So I said, what do I do? She said, just put your laundry on a pile on the floor, have somebody pick it up, and we'll take it. And when you get done speaking, you'll have your nice, clean laundry. I said, thank you. The next morning, I'm having breakfast with the top Girl Scout in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, the big cities. Very distinguished women. I look up. Walking down the hall is Frances Hesselbein, the CEO, carrying my dirty laundry. Dirty underwear, socks. Every woman saw her. She did not have to give a speech about humility. She did not have to give a speech about servant leadership. She did not have to give a speech about how do you treat volunteers. She didn't have to say anything.
And she's a multi-billionaire, right?
What?
Multi-billionaire, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, you're an amazing person.
Marshall, maybe I'll briefly describe your stakeholder-centered coaching methodology, and then I won't get it right, but you can correct me.
I know all about that one.
You already mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. So should I just mention again, or
let's talk about this.
Everyone knows what stakeholder-centered coaching is?
Yeah, that's what I just discussed.
Raise your hands if you know what stakeholder-centered coaching is.
Yeah.
Okay, not many. So I'll briefly describe what Marshall may have described to you in the morning.
Yes.
The idea is about getting feedback from others. So firstly, you figure out who are your top stakeholders, the most important people in your lives, who can help you get better, who you meet with every day, who are important stakeholders in your life. It could be your spouse, it could be your children, it could be your colleagues, it could be your bosses, it could be clients, etc. You organize a set of those people, and then ask some third party to go and ask around for feedback. So they'll tell you good things about how you are, good things about you, because you're a generally good person. But they'll also give you a few actionable items in terms of how you can improve. You take the list of actionable items, first acknowledge that these are the ones that you want to work on. pick a few, one or two, that you think you can get better on. And then go tell everyone, look, I've got this feedback, and I need to get better. Thank you for providing me this feedback, which I've collected and analyzed. I want to get better at A, B, and C. And please give me feedback if you feel like I've made improvement. And you go there and then start doing the things that you want to do to improve. But go back every month and say, hey, X, do you think I improved on this? And that makes them want to watch for this improvement. Most of the time, people are blind to change, right? If you made a change also, people are not going to give you feedback. It takes 18 months for people to register that you've changed. But now that you're asking them, priming them to see the change, they'll keep telling you whether you improved. And this process of doing this again and again, you get better as a human being. So that's a process that's open to everyone. All of us can do it. It doesn't even need a coach. You can have anyone administer this for you, and you can start getting better. Marshall, did I capture it appropriately?
Good job.
Thank you. I'm your disciple.
Thank you.
Yes. So Marshall, now let's talk about your project called MarshallBot, MarshallGoldsmith.ai, right? Let's take it for a spin.
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting. This has totally gone beyond any dream I ever had. Historically, I wanted to give away everything I know to everyone around the world for free. It's a nice vision. I tried to do it for 20 years. I've been working on this with no success. You probably can't remember these things. There was something called interactive video, some clunky boxes. They cost $3,000 or $4,000. It was awful. It was just awful. Didn't work very well. I just had failure after failure after failure. And then Shrikant and his team just came to me. Talk about that story, when it sort of hit you.
This was 2020 when during the LPR sessions, Marshall talked about this project. And I was skeptical because I felt like the tech wasn't ready to provide perfect answers. But in 2022, I reached out to Marshall and said, Marshall, tech has really changed a lot in the last couple of years. We think we can build a MarshallGoldsmith.ai that can answer questions at the standard at which you are seeking it to answer. And then we started this project early 2023, and then built MarshallGoldsmith.ai. Marshall spent countless hours in doing supervised fine-tuning of this system that we built. Initially, it was pretty good, but then Marshall didn't want any wrong answer, not a single wrong answer, zero hallucination, and therefore he trained it, spent a lot of personal time in fine-tuning it, and after that, we've built Marshall's voice, now hopefully Marshall's video sometime soon, and we've tackled all the engineering challenges around that, which you're all very familiar with here, and then that's, lo and behold, we have MarshallGoldsmith.ai. It's answered 50,000 questions already, and it's got a very high satisfaction rate.
95% satisfaction and going up.
Going up.
Yeah, it was about 94. It's just going up, up, up. It's almost 100% now. It's just amazing.
And one thing Marshall talks about is, and something that all of us can learn, is to only focus on talking about things that we are an expert on, we are good at, and not venture into topics that we don't know. So Marshall is very careful. The first time, I will tell you this little story, first time I met Marshall, after that breakfast meeting that I had, next time I met Marshall was when Marshall was running a little coaching program, and I was part of his program. So that day we had a dinner in the evening, and it was 2016, 2016 elections were a very hot topic, Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton. So I was excited. I wanted to know where Marshall's thoughts are on this. So I said, Marshall, what do you think of Donald Trump? And Marshall then scolded me for the next 15 minutes. Like, why do you care? Can you influence the results of the election? If you do, I'm not an expert on politics. I'm never going to talk about politics. I'm not going to tell you about this. And frankly, you should stop worrying about those things. And that's when it hit me, and I learned not to stray too far away from my expertise and not offer my opinion on everything. I've still not gotten very good at it, but I'm improving.
Well, you know, this is a very important point. One thing that my bot has been trained to is it doesn't answer questions about that. It also doesn't give medical advice. It doesn't give financial advice. And if you ask it, who's Donald Trump, you know what it says? I don't know.
Exactly.
My bot is one of the few people in the world who does not know who Donald Trump is. It says, I don't know, because this isn't intended to do everything. Now, I'm going to go back to a point that we've discussed before. Every AI computer bot has a bias. They're all biased. Now, I don't have to get into details. As many of you know, one of the big AI computer bots completely imploded because of bias. Well, everything is biased. My bot is biased. Let me tell you what I mean. If you ask a question, what is leadership? There are 50 possible answers. Well, as soon as somebody provides an answer, it's a bias. It's their bias. One thing I love about this is my bias. I'm not saying these answers are perfect. My old mentor, Dr. Paul Hersey, said never get into definitions about words and semantics. You ask it a question, it gives you an answer. I'm not saying it's a perfect answer. It's my answer. At least some credible human being is taking responsibility for this thing, as opposed to nobody's taking responsibility. So this is designed to speak with things I believe in. It's designed to say what I believe in. I'm not saying I'm perfect. On the other hand, I did get ranked #1 leadership thinker and coach in the world. I'm not an idiot. I'm doing my best here, and it's free. At least you know what you're getting, though. You know who is the bias, where is the bias, who is driving this thing. And I've spent hundreds of hours on this thing, just trying to make it better. As I said earlier, I'm 75. For me, this is my life. This is a legacy to me. This is not just a game. So for me, I plan on, assuming I'll stay alive, hopefully work on this the rest of my life. Just trying to make it better and better and better, and anyone around the world can access it for free. And in the future, might even have video.
Yes, yes. It's been trained on 1.5 million words that Marshall has spoken, read, or talked about, or written about. It's trained on his voice, it's on video, so all of that is included in MarshallGoldsmith.ai. So we have about 12, 13 minutes left in this conversation. So should we get some questions from all of you in the audience here?
Yeah,
let's see. Marshall is amazing at answering specific questions and providing advice. So if you have a specific question about your life or career.
Wait a minute. Somebody said, since we're going to die anyway, why do anything?
For meaningful action. The awareness that our time is limited can be a powerful motivator to live our lives with purpose and to make a positive impact while we can. It's about recognizing that every day is precious and an opportunity to create a legacy, contribute to others, and achieve personal fulfillment. By getting up and doing something, we exercise our ability to choose how we spend our limited time, to pursue what we find meaningful, and to live in accordance with our values and goals. It's not about the inevitability of death, but about the quality and significance of the life we lead up to that point.
So this is just so that I explain what happened. In the morning, I wasn't here, but I'm told one of the questions that was asked was, if all of us are going to die anyway, what's the point in doing anything?
Right.
So this is the answer to that question that MarshallBot has provided, which is, I think, was quite amazing.
It is amazing. And let me tell you, this has totally exceeded any expectations I had. When you and I discussed this, our goal was this could answer any question as well as me. It's way beyond that. It is way beyond that. Let me give you I use this with my clients. One of my clients, who you've met, is Dr. Patrick Frias. He runs the Rady Children's Hospital. He's merging with another hospital. He's going to be a co-CEO, not a very common job. He said, what's challenging about being a co-CEO? What are opportunities, suggestions? I asked this. I mean, it provided a brilliant answer. Then he said, let's go into more detail. This issue of boundaries. Give me ideas on how to do that effectively. Amazing. My daughter Kelly wants to trick this thing. She says, how is your coaching related to utilitarian philosophy? I don't even know what utilitarian philosophy is. Now, I want all of you to think about this. I don't even know what that is. It studies utilitarian philosophy. It studies my coaching philosophy. It figures out how they work together, similar or different. It asks itself, how would I, Marshall, answer the question? It answers it in a way I approve, in my voice, in 5 seconds. Welcome to the new world.
Okay, let's take some questions, Marshall. Anyone in the audience has any questions? Go ahead.
Wait a minute.
This is your opportunity. Yeah.
I've got an idea. Talk to the person sitting next to you. You have 30 seconds to come up with a good question. Go! Talk to the person sitting next to you. Go, go,
Just
go.
have a conversation between someone, your partner, someone next to you, and come up with a good question for us. Yeah, go ahead. If anyone has a question, please raise your hand. We'll get to you right away.
Okay, now you have to help me because I can't hear very well. Okay, with the hearing.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have some good questions. Okay, now let's see. Let's see who looks like they have a good. I think this guy looks like he has a good question. What's a good question? And you talk loud so Shrikant can hear you. Oh, good.
Shrikant, maybe a question to you.
Oh, question to me. Let's have the question for Marshall.
Okay. No, I like this. Ask him the question.
Okay. So you have many coaches, correct? So why you decided Marshall?
I'm sorry?
You might have an option of choosing many coach. So what you made to choose Marshall?
As a coach?
Yes.
It's a great question. Because he's the best. Look, I read the book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And that influenced me a lot. And everything that Marshall wrote, I loved everything that Marshall wrote. So the first few years I read those books. Then I'm a big fan of Peter Drucker. I've read everything that Peter Drucker has written. I've been a lifelong disciple of Peter Drucker. And Marshall happens to be a disciple of Peter Drucker as well. So it was very natural. It's just that I could never think that I could afford Marshall's services or that I could even get through to him. That's the thing that just changed over the years, but I would always have had Marshall as my coach.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, you know what? Since he asked you about that question, and you talked about Peter Drucker, I want to share one thing that Peter Drucker taught me with a group, something you've seen me say over and over and over again. First, our mission in life is to make a positive difference, not to prove that we're smart and not to prove that we're right. The people in this room are very smart people and very successful people.
Exactly.
You've taken test after test after test in your life to prove how smart you are. It's very hard to stop. We're not here on earth to prove how smart we are. Let me tell you one humbling lesson I've got from this whole experience. MarshallBot is 100 times as smart as I am. I'm not ashamed of that. I can't answer those questions in that level of detail. This thing is amazing. I'm not in a contest to prove I'm smart. I'm here trying to help people. This can help people. I use it with all my clients. It can help people better than I can by myself. In the future, every medical doctor should have an AI bot. They don't know everything. They don't know about drug interactions and statistics. They make it up. Get over your ego. To me, the only people wouldn't use this is ego. They just think they're too. I'm not too good for this. This is smarter than I am, and I'm not ashamed of that. It's okay. I don't have a photographic memory. I've done 55 books. I can't remember 55 books. Of course not. I'm not that smart, right? Now, Peter Drucker, we're here on earth to make a positive difference, number one. Number two, every decision in life is made with the person who has the power to make the decision. Make peace with that. Anybody work for a family business? Family businesses. You know, a couple of things to remember. Owner wins. Not owner is right, owner is logical, owner wins. Well, the decision maker makes a decision. If you are the decision maker and I influence you to make a positive difference, there's one word to describe you, that word is customer. One word to describe me, salesperson. Customers don't have to buy. Salespeople have to sell. Customers don't have to buy. It doesn't matter how smart you are, you're in sales. You've got to sell your ideas, you've got to talk to people, you've got to influence decision makers, and you can't just sit back and critique them. Now, one final example, a person you've met is Fred, great guy. Fred worked for a company that was bought by KKR, very large private equity firm. He becomes the CEO, he's 41. You know what he said? They can't tell me what to do. Wrong. Henry Kravitz can't tell me what to do. Wrong, wrong, wrong. They figured out how much it took to fire Fred. $2 million. They don't even care. Just too much time. I talked to Fred. I said, Fred, he told me they couldn't tell him what to do. I said, I'm going to help you, Fred. It's their money. It's their money. They can't tell you what to do. You're the CEO, but you're not God. Well, call him up and apologize. And he did. And he was there 12 years after that. It worked out great. Look, we all have to influence decision makers. And the main thing is get over our egos. Get over our egos. If I need to influence you, you're the customer, not me. Okay.
Hi,
Okay,
Marshall.
please.
So how do you get to the state of happiness? Everything else I think you can control in your life, your fitness, your thoughts, and everything else. But how about happiness?
You can control several things in your life, but how do you get
to the
happiness?
state of happiness.
Happiness is not in your control. That's what she
Yes.
said.
Well, it's a great question. Now, in terms of being happy, I get very high scores on that one. One of the things I talked about is every day you're going to ask yourself, did I do my best to be happy today? Not next week, not next year, not next month. Did I do my best to be happy today? Now, I'm going to be a little philosophical here, if that's okay. A little Buddhist philosophy. Buddha was brought up very rich. His father believed that he would be happy if he kept giving him more and more. He lived in a bubble. He was able to sneak outside that bubble 3 times. The first trip, you know what he learns? People get old. Second trip, we get sick. Third trip, die. You know what he said? That more stuff doesn't work. He went out in the woods. Less, starved himself. You know what he found out? Didn't work either. You know what he finally realized? You can never be happy with more.
Okay.
You can never be happy with less. There's only one thing you can never be happy with, what you have. There's only one time you can be happy. You know when that is? Now. There's only one place you can be happy. You know where that is? Here. You ready? I'm now going to tell you the location of nirvana. You didn't know you were going to get this when you asked that question. Do you want to know where nirvana is?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Nirvana is in the Radisson Blu Hotel. Listen to some old bald man talk to you right now.
Just in case, in the morning, Marshall would have spoken about the 6 questions. Those are very, very crucial questions. I have found them to be quite amazing. If you can just implement those 6 questions and ask yourself every day. The 6 questions all start with, did I do my best to? Did I do my best to set goals, make progress towards my goals, find meaning in the work that I do, find happiness, which is your question, build positive relationships, and stay engaged? All these 6 questions are in our control because we are only asking the question, did I do my best to? And that's the powerful thing, and Marshall's wisdom is about finding happiness now, today, right now, and all of us can, within whatever we can control.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Let's take one more question, please. Yes, back there. If you can send the mic there, please. Okay, then we have 2 questions. We'll come to you in a second, okay? We'll take your question first.
Hi, Marshall. Thank you. I've been reading your book, The Earned Life, for a few days now.
The Earned Life. He's been reading The Earned Life, yes.
Yeah. And I follow Simon Sinek quite a lot as well. So we were interacting quite often on how we like and how our thoughts are liking to each other. So I had a foot thought over there which says like the choices and the risks that we take in life are probably overarching the purpose of what we do. Now, if we keep winning, that probably leads us to success. Now, if you're losing on a side and to make sure that somebody else is winning because of we losing in, is that also a success in a way that we define it to be? I mean, if I had to generalize it, if I lose to make someone else to be successful, is that okay to be for some time?
His point is he's reading your book, Earned Life. He's also influenced by Simon Sinek, if you know that guy. And he's saying, yes, you can win too much and winning equates to success, but what if I frame winning as making other people successful, even at my expense? Yeah. Is that winning too?
I do not declare other people's values for them. I think he knows the answer. Look in the mirror. You look in the mirror. I think I know the answer. What's that person in the mirror telling you is the right answer? I think you know. You didn't have to ask that question. You already know the answer. Does that make sense to you, sir?
You gave me the confidence. I was a little confused if I feel I was successful, but you gave me the answer. Thank you.
You have to say that again, sorry.
Yeah, no. I think I was a little confused about me, whether I'm thinking right or wrong. You gave me the answer.
He's saying I was confused whether I was right or wrong on this topic, but it's clarified. What you've said clarified.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, wait. One more time. I want to teach the group something. Let's have some fun here.
So we have 2 questions. After that, we can do that. Is that
Okay, we have 2
Yeah.
questions, then I get to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
1 question back there, gentleman there, and we'll come to you as well.
Okay, great.
let's do it.
Yeah, my question is, like, what is your suggestion about mental health when everything is changing so fast in the technology world or in the world itself?
What's your suggestion on mental health? In a world that's changing very fast, people have mental health challenges. What is your suggestion on how to keep our mental health, emotional well-being?
Yeah. Now, first, I'm not talking about psychological trauma or people that have psychological disease. I'm not a medical doctor nor a psychiatrist, so I don't give advice in that particular area. In terms of general mental health, I think this is a very, very important question. We spend almost no time teaching people things like happiness, peace, meaning in life. I was telling the story this morning about me working at IIT, and the young people are crying. They're brilliant people. South Korea is a disaster right now. They lead the developed world in suicide with no babies. Well, not good. So I think your question is a good one. It's a huge crisis around the world. And to me, we need to spend a lot more time teaching people how to find peace. And I have to have one suggestion. As long as people believe I'm going to find happiness out there, we're going to have mental health problems. Why? There's never enough. The Buddhist term is the hungry ghost. One thing we talked about many times, Srikanth, is achievement and happiness are independent variables. Achievement is good. Achieve to achieve. Be happy to be happy. Never believe you're going to achieve enough to be happy. If achievement would make you happy, Srikanth, how happy would those people be that you spend all that time with?
Extremely happy.
They would be the extremely happiest people in the world, jumping up and down every day with joy. They're just humans. And people need to realize happiness is not out there. It's not when.
It's inside.
It's inside. Very good question.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Marshall and Srikanth once again, please.
wait.
Come on, make some noise.
I get to do one more.
One last question from
Okay.
the
Oh,
lady
no,
there.
Srikanth, I want to do
Hi.
one too.
Hi,
I
Marshall.
get to do my question.
Hi, Marshall.
Do that one and then I'll do my question. Okay, quick.
Yes, my
Two more.
question is about your book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. I have not read this book, but I'm just curious about the content. I was looking at, usually we look at the data, past a trend, and we pick up the right or good things that worked for us. So I'm just curious to know what you meant by this, like what got you here won't get you there.
So she wants to know what you mean by what got you here won't get you there. She hasn't read the book, so just describe
Data
it.
part, I'm just...
What that means is all of my work is with extremely successful people. That means two things. One, you're successful because of and in spite of. Fix the in spite of. And two, the world is changing.
So does that
What the world is changing, what got me to where I am today, is not going to get me there tomorrow. Let me tell you one thing I'm proud of. At my age, I didn't have to do that.
Learning AI. In fact, he's an AI expert these days. Marshall's become a new AI expert.
But if you start coasting, you're obsolete.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now my final question. Okay, are you ready? Here's the most common question I get. Are we ready? Everybody asks me the same question. How do you have so much energy? How do you have so much energy? And they don't say this, but they're thinking, you're old. Would you like how I get energy? I'm going to teach you a chant to give you energy. Would you like to learn the chant? You know, like everything I said, if it doesn't work for you, don't do it. Everybody ready? Put both feet on the ground. Breathe deeply. Center yourself. Do your hands like this. Ah, the chant goes like this. Ah. There's no business like show business.
All right, once again, ladies and gentlemen, what a wonderful man. Make some noise for Marshall once again. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Marshall.